Hey Shay, how's it going?
Hello, good, and you look so lovely. So ready for dinner?
I am ready for dinner.
Cool. Hello.
Hi, I saw Katie and Meg's are
I
on as
saw
well.
Katie. Yes, I saw Katie in the chat. And look at my cakers.
Hi.
In their t-shirts. How are you, Naya?
We're good,
How
thanks.
you
How are you?
Good, thanks. I'm still setting myself up here.
Naseeha and Camilla,
Mm-hmm.
you guys have a pen and a paper close by.
Yes.
We're gonna
So
make them play games for us tonight.
Yeah, you know, we're playing a game. I thought, what if you do have one close by,
Yeah.
then you could answer, because I'll ask the same question and you answer for each other.
Oh gosh,
Oh,
no pressure.
No
real
pressure. Hello, Hope. There's a Hope in the room, and a Palessa, and a Audrey. Hello, Odds.
Hi, Ods. Miss you, Odds.
So Palessa says, is someone supposed to be speaking? So I'm gonna throw that to Andre if he's listening. Maybe, yeah, he's gonna help people figure out how to join. Oh, Sipo.
I see our chair ladies here as well, Cheryl.
Oh,
I see Kum here asking a question. Can anyone see me? No one can see you, but we see that you are on, Kumo.
where are you seeing that?
Awesome. Yeah, no, I can see on the chat.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Welcome, Madam Chair. Thank you for joining us.
Cool. So for those of you who can hear us, because I know some aren't yet, makes us put on a poll. So go ahead and entertain us by filling out that poll. So if you just look to I'm assuming it's going to be the same as mine. So if you look to the right of your screen where it says chat, next to it has a thing that says polls, and there's a little red button there that tells you that's a poll available for you to engage us with. So please do that. You guys have your paper?
Yes.
Yeah. Cool. So we're just going to hang in there as people start to join us, and yeah, we can have a private chat in the meantime, which they can hear.
Yeah.
Did you guys have a good day?
Yeah. It was a little crazy in the end.
Oh.
More for Pam than for me.
Yeah.
She had some adventures. But we did it in one piece.
Oh, glad. I so love that you guys are kitted in your.
We should have worn our E squared t-shirts
Yeah.
as well.
Yeah, we should have actually.
Missed
For the
opportunity.
next one. For the
Yes,
next
next
one. I'm hoping it'll also be warmer. It's so cold today.
It is.
And tomorrow will be worse.
Naseeha, Camilla.
Yeah.
They go in the chat
Love to
says, and you
know
guys have matching lipstick. I'm assuming it's part of the uniform at all, right?
That actually wasn't planned, but it's part of the uniform now. Yeah.
Incredible.
Wonderful. So I can't see too many new people joining us except for Danielle. Hey, Danielle. So we're just going to hang just for a few more seconds and then we'll dive in.
Cool.
Yeah, so just to remind any of you who haven't yet heard that there's a poll, and if you'd like, you can take that poll, and we're going to have polls going all through the evening. So to help us fill those out, they give us important data. Yeah, so if you can't hear at the moment, or if you can't yet get into the room, and I'm saying this assuming maybe you can hear me or maybe you can't, both Andre and Kensley are out there, and they're going to help you connect. They're going to tell you what you need to do in order to get yourself into the room. Because we're waiting for you. We're waiting to have dinner with you. Right?
Just direct them to the corner where it says people. If they have an issue, then they can directly send a chat to Ray.
Lou is my co-pilot. Go for it, Lou. Tell them how to do it. I don't think I remember.
So if you want to contact Andre, you can find him where it says people. You just click there and you can send a message directly to him. In case you're having any tech related issue, he's got our back.
Somebody should. I'm so tech challenged. Cool. So I think we're like 7 minutes in, and so I'm gonna just give a quick run through about what tonight's about and what can we do. And I'm hoping people will hop on, and Andre and Kensley will help people get into the room. So welcome for all of you who are here in the room. It's so nice to have you. I know there's loads of people around. I can see there's about 19 people, 19 or 20 people in the room, but I only get to see these 3 other pretty faces. But I'm sure that there's many others around as well. So just to give you some context, for many of you, you might have joined us at E Squared at some point or another at a hangout dinner. And we used to do this both in Gauteng or in the Western Cape. And thank you to COVID, we now get to do this combined, but virtually. And so this is part of our hangout dinners, or similar to that kind of format, except that we're just going to hang out with you virtually. And so what I'd like you to do whilst we're getting started and while I'm telling you what today's more about, I'd like for you to tell us where you're joining us from, so where you're located, and then tell us what is your favorite confectionery. Tell us what's your favorite thing. So if it's like me, chocolate cake would be my thing. What's your favorite thing? So put it in the chat. We'd like to see what's your favorite confectionery. And I think Naseeha and both Camilla would love to see what the other fellows eating out there, right? When they're not eating macarons from you guys. Absolutely. And so maybe I thought I could just quickly tell you that this is not a very formal space. I know that normally we'd have these dinners and you'd go to a restaurant, but it's not formal. Today, we're not going to have a proper webinar series. It's not going to be too intense. It's just a whole lot of people sitting around a virtual dinner table, just having a conversation. And so we would like for it to be really conversational and really informal. So we have a few ways for you to engage with us. You can put your questions or comments in the chat, and Lou is here with me, and Lou is going to help to just manage the chat and look at what you're saying, what are you sharing, are you asking a question? So you could do that. Secondly, you will see on the top of your screen, just slightly to the right of your screen, not to the far right, but mid to a little bit right, don't know how to say that right, is a button that says share my audio and video. And if you have a question that you'd like to ask during the question and answer period, then do press that button, and then Andre will let you in, and you'll join us on screen. So if you have a question that you don't want to put in the chat, but you want to just ask it to Naseeha and Camilla, then go ahead and ask to share your audio and your visuals, and then Andre will let you into the room, and you could ask them face to face a question. But like I said, it's really informal. It's just a conversation. And this is an amazing opportunity for us to engage with Naseeha and Camilla on their entrepreneurial journey. And we just want you to kind of see what that journey was like and have a question if you do, or maybe also just share insights if you have it. So we're looking forward to engaging with you. Remember, even though I might be doing a lot of the talking together with Naseeha and Camilla, that doesn't mean that you don't get to engage. You totally have to be active on that chat. Please don't let it stay still. Just set it alight. I'm going to read out quickly just so that we get to see what people are saying. So Kateko says that she loves milk tart. Ooh, and Eunice Stain says double chocolate cake with caramel treat. Ooh, that sounds very intense and decadent. Do you guys make any of those? Naseeha?
Short answer, no.
No. Well, you can make chocolate cake though, right? Like
good chocolate cakes, but yeah, milk tart, that's an old school treat that we actually haven't tried making ourselves, but it's a goodie.
It is. I have I never say this name right. I'm not Afrikaans speaking, and I failed that class, I think. But the taste near my house, they make them, but they make the little ones, like the mini ones, which I really like because then you can just pop the entire thing into your mouth, which makes it quite easy to eat. Otherwise, I find it's quite it's a bit of a messy, but it is a yummy.
So good. Yeah.
Cool. And then Eunice says, and then she also really likes yummy chocolate cupcakes. Anything chocolate, I'm there. Cool. All right. Lou, do you want to share anything before I jump in?
No, you can go right ahead.
Cool. Okay, guys. So what we're going to do is we're going to play a game. And so we wanted Naseeha and Camilla to indulge us. So they have paper with them. And hopefully you're going to be able to see their responses. Yeah. So I'm going to ask them 5 questions. And they're going to answer for each other. So I'm going to ask a question, and Naseeha is going to answer for Camilla. Camilla for Naseeha, yeah? So it's just 5 questions. Nothing, no, not too serious. But let's see how well this partnership works. Let's see how well the two of you know each other. Yeah. Let's go. Cool. All right. Oh, look, Kateko says she thinks that Camilla would win. Oh my God, people are voting. Okay, cool, let's go. First one. Of the two of you, which one likes savory or sweet? So what does Camilla like? Savory or sweet? What does Naseeha like? Savory or sweet?
Sweet, of course, for both.
Okay, let's see. Got it?
Sweet for Cam. Savory.
Okay. So is it right?
I like sweet.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Sugary sweet.
It's a baker.
The brightly colored cupcakes. That's
Okay. So are we keeping points? Are we keeping points? So 1 for Naseeha. Cam, come on. Girl, you got the next one.
Okay.
Mountains or beach?
Mountains for Cam. Beach.
Okay. And Naseeha, what do you like?
All the way. Mountains?
Yeah, mountains.
Yes. Okay.
Okay, fine. It's 2-1. 2-1, okay. Number 3. So, for each of you, is it a mocktail or a cocktail? Which do you prefer?
Easy. Cocktail for Cam.
Mocktail.
All the way.
Is it to get it right?
Oh,
Yeah.
yes. So
Right, yeah. Okay, cool. So it's now 3-2.
Yeah.
Oh, Lou, you have to keep counting for me. I think I'm going to mess the counting up.
3-2.
Okay.
Cool. So this question I got from my niece. So I was talking to her earlier and I said, oh, Bella, I'm going to play this game. And what do you think I should add? And so this is her question, okay? She says, what happens when either of you get hangry? So, like with the H, like when you're hungry, angry. So do you get grumpy or quiet?
Oof.
They're in a bakery though, so all day.
They're hardly ever hangry.
It's food. Naseeha's writing a whole thesis on it.
Okay.
Started with grumpy, but I changed to quiet for Cam. I said grumpy.
Camilla, I can't see your answer. What was it? Grumpy.
Grumpy.
Is it true?
100%. Yeah.
Oh, wow. Okay,
Yeah, I do. Okay. One each.
I also get really grumpy, actually. I should never be hungry because I'm not a nice person. So I always have snackies around because, I'm not nice. Okay, fine. The last one is this. What is each of you's favorite South African slang or word that you use most often?
Oh my
Come on, there has to be
I'm
one.
going to take it away now. Actually, we might tie if I get this and you don't. Oh my God. Okay. Can I get extra time? Just another 20 seconds.
Of course. Take all your time. No. 20 seconds.
Come on.
Okay. It's lame, but something.
Okay, Cam, you go first because you were so confident. Cam, what was yours?
Very confident.
Come on.
That's good. Jeez.
Jeez.
It's lame, I know. But I can't say it's wrong. Yeah, you say it a lot.
I do.
Don't know if it's South African, but it's slang. Does it count? Is it South African?
Okay, but we'll give
I
it
think
to
so.
you. We'll give it to you. Cool. What's the score?
There's just, I know Cam is one down.
Yeah.
Okay.
Don't ask for count, but
Okay, cool. So it was 5 questions that I asked, which means it's
All 5.
Yeah. 4 out of 5.
Oh, 5. Well done. Actually, it's awesome. You guys did really, really good, right? Like, I love the fact that you're not just like partners in the sense of business partners, but that you know each other really well, which means you're friends. And I like that. Like, I think you really know someone's your friend when they know the word that you use. Like, this like, the thing that grinds you. And that even when you are angry kind of a person, they still stick around. So like people who can tolerate you when you're grumpy, when you're hungry, then that's a true friend. So I love that you have your friends.
That's right.
Great. I hope you guys had fun.
Well done. We did.
Oh, look.
Really happy.
Oh, yeah. So I thought we'd just play that quick game and get to know each other just a little bit. So I'm glad that we got the chance to know you as people. And so we'll dive right in, shall we? So just to kind of let those who just joined us in the last few minutes, and I think we've got about 4 new people who joined us, just to let you know that this virtual dinner is really informal. We're hoping to just have conversation and be a lot of girls, and there looks like there might be a couple of guys in the room as well, who's just going to have dinner together and have informal conversation with 2 really successful and innovative entrepreneurs. And so this is very similar to the hangout dinners we used to have previously, that we now move virtually. And it's mostly for us to do this with women fellows within the Allan family. And I think this is an opportunity for E-Squared to just be able to connect and engage with you. And what we want to know is, what are your pain points? What are you struggling with? What kind of journey are you on? And how do we as E-Squared get closer to you? How do we understand that? And maybe in understanding that, we can be able to do better programs and engage with you better and have more relevancy. And so these dinners are really set up for us to be able to engage with you. So I hope you have fun tonight, and I hope that you'll join us. We have 4 more coming up, or 3 more coming up. This is 1 of 4 actually. So I hope you will stick around and join us month on month as we keep diving into this. So I am really glad, and I have the pleasure to be joined both by my colleague Lou. So if no one's met Lucretia before, this is Lucretia. I'm Cheryl. We both work at E-Squared. And this evening we are so honored to have Naseeha and Camilla with us, and they're from Oh My Cake. Yes, I love it. I love the name. I love the logo. I love everything about it actually, except I haven't tasted anything from Oh My Cake yet. And so Lou tells me I have to get my butt over there, which I shall. As soon as I can leave Pretoria, I will go and eat a macaron or a cupcake.
The macarons.
Oh,
The macarons. Everybody has to try their macarons.
everyone has to try macaron. So cool.
Yeah.
That's what I shall do when I finally get myself to Johannesburg. So girls, what we wanted to do is have a chat with you. And I was hoping that you, as young women who are entrepreneurs and who are making it in the big, scary world of entrepreneurship out there, that you tell us a little bit about your journey. And so why don't each of you maybe take a couple of minutes and tell us what your journey was like? What brought you to Oh My Cake? and how did you both end up being together on this journey?
You want to start? Okay. She's asking me, but she's also nodding and saying, you start. Sure, I'll start. For me, entrepreneurship was never necessarily going to be the destination. I started off at WITS studying a Bachelor of Science, and I was really passionate about human genetics, so that's where I wanted to go. I wanted to be in academia. I wanted to be a professor. And when I joined the foundation, it was a little bit of a struggle for me to make the connection between entrepreneurship and what I was studying at the time. I kind of went along for the growth and the networking, and it was just interesting. And obviously for the scholarship side of things, but it was not, I could never really make that connection. And as I was studying my master's at UCT in about 2012, I enrolled in a cake decorating class just as a fun thing. It was actually a birthday gift, just as a fun thing to do, as a little bit of a creative outlet, and actually found that I really enjoyed it. It was fun to work with my hands and do something that was just less precise than the pipettes and the scientific experiments that I was working with day in and day out at the lab at UCT. So I enjoyed it. And I found myself spending more and more of my free time rushing back home to click play on the YouTube tutorial that had been paused from the night before to pick up where I left off. And what I loved really doing was the really detailed work in cake decorating. So making tiny little sugar flowers and sculptures and figurines. I just got lost in it. I wasn't particularly good at it from the start, but I enjoyed just getting lost in it. It was like being in the zone. And I guess over time, I started getting a bit more confident and learning to bake a little bit. And I booked a couple of weddings with friends and family, with colleagues. And as I finished my master's and handed it in, I guess the side hustle, I wouldn't even have called it that at the time. It was really still a passion project, but it had gained a little bit of traction. And with the support of my hubby, Wasim, which many of you guys know because he's a fellow as well. And he's sitting here in the background, creeping and listening in. Not weird at all. But he also encouraged me and said, you know what, before you jump straight into your PhD, which was my plan, give this thing 6 months and just see what happens, and I'll support you through it. And I was lucky to have that opportunity. So I took it. What those 6 months entailed was basically making cakes still for friends and family. I made everything as a private order. I did everything myself. So the shopping for ingredients, baking the cake, decorating everything, delivering the cake, and repeat day in, day out. There were lots of late nights, early mornings, deliveries, fails, epic fails, everything, you name it. And at some point in that year, I entered the E-Squared Startership competition where I pitched my cake and actually came in second. And that kind of accelerated a few things. So that's when I gained a little bit of the confidence and also the capital to apply for a stall at the Neighbor Goods Market in Braam. I know a couple of you guys who are here on the call actually came through and visited the stall all those years ago, which was pretty cool. And at the Neighbor Goods Market, Cam and I always joke that it started with a leak, because there was one fortunate/unfortunate day where it was pouring with rain. My stall that I was meant to trade at was completely soaked, and it was just not appropriate to be selling food in that space whatsoever. And after having words with the manager and trying to figure something out, he eventually moved us to another spot. And that spot happened to be right next to Cam. And it freaked me out because we were competition. We were the only two real confectioners, I would say. There was one other at the market. And I'd been eyeing her out for weeks and kind of concerned. And now I was side by side with her. So it was interesting. But in the weeks that followed, we got to know each other. We realized that just logistically, we were both driving all the way from the Fourways area to Braam every Saturday, and it just made sense to kind of pool our resources. And at the time, I had one student, a VIT student, who was helping me out at Neighbor Goods, Tonya. She was amazing. And I had my domestic worker, Tracy, who was pretty much my assistant/baker/pastry chef in training. I hadn't had any formal qualifications in pastry or anything like that. I was kind of still teaching myself through YouTube and online classes, and I taught Tracy as well. So the two of us would bake everything all week long, and sell at Neighbor Goods on Saturday, do private orders Monday to Friday, and things gained momentum that way. Eventually, Cam and I got the confidence together to leave the market and start to explore other markets, expos, bigger events together. So we do the London Market, the Coffee and Chocolate Expo at Monte Casino, the Park Life Festival at Emerentia. We'd pretty much bake from our separate homes, and Cam will tell you her story. And then we'd come together to do the events, and at the end of the event, we'd split the cash and go our separate ways. They were still very much separate businesses. But in that way, we kind of got to test out the partnership before we even knew that it was going to be a partnership. And it just built trust with each other and goodwill and a friendship as well. And it was safe because we still had our separate stuff going on. And within about a couple of years of doing that, we moved into our own premises through a connection of Cam's in Fourways. And it was a tiny little garage, actually, converted to a shop front. It was pretty much the loading zone at the back of a salon. So anytime trucks would come in to deliver stock to the shops that actually had proper storefronts there, we would have to roll up our welcome mat and close the doors so the truck could back in and do its loading and unloading. It was really just sticks and spit and hacked together. And that's when we slowly started hiring, mostly from the bakery down the road. We'd made friends, and we'd made some connections there. Every time we shopped for supplies, we heard that some of the staff were unhappy and looking for something new. And one by one, we started building our team. Tracy, my domestic worker, was still a part of that team. Cam's domestic worker, Ernia, was actually also our macaroon chef at the time. And we slowly built a stronger customer base that way. We learned a lot about business. We did everything up pretty much still ourselves, just the four of us. And within a year, we outgrew that space. We jumped into the retail space at Cedar Square. After that, we launched the online store, and yeah, the rest is history.
Wow. So rivals then, hey? Two friends?
Yeah, for a short time, yeah.
That is so awesome. Okay, Cam, you go. Tell us whether you were also eyeing out Naseeha and her cupcakes. That's okay if the public wants to say hello.
I've got a different journey from Naseeha. I studied information design at Tux, which is pretty much graphic design. Lots of creativity, lots of drawing, film studies, visual studies, illustration, animation. I did that for 4 years. And then I joined a big corporate for about 4 or 5 years. And it was actually Net Florist that I joined. Worked really, really hard in their marketing department, as you can imagine, with occasions, Mother's Day, Valentine's Day. The hours are long, the stress is intense, and I just knew that there was nothing wrong with where I was. I just knew that I needed to do something different, if that makes sense. I didn't think that I was better. I just felt like my calling was different. I didn't fit the corporate mold. So I knew I needed to do something for myself. I knew that I'd be satisfied once I was, on my own journey, not someone else's journey. So in my final year of Net Florist, my mother-in-law at the time, actually, she had perfected the macaroon recipe, which everybody knows is next to impossible. And we were telling her, come on, you've got to turn this into a business. People are loving this. And she said, no, she's had enough of that. She's worked enough in her life. So my husband and I joined her for 2 to 3 weekends, Saturday and Sunday, baking macaroons day in and day out over the weekends. That was about 3 weekends. And then I said, fake it till you make it. And I signed up to Neighbor Goods Market and got into Neighbor Goods. And at the same time, I signed up to Fourways Farmers Market as well and got in at the same time. So first weekend, I had a Saturday and a Sunday market, completely sold out of both markets. And then the hustle really began, and it was a proper hustle. So I'd be at Net Florist from about 6 to 3, go home, have an hour's downtime, switch on the ovens, and then go until about 12 o'clock at night. My husband knows how to make macaroons very, very well. He won't admit that. And then sort of the rivalry and the partnership started, which was really cool. We had a few, I think, critical moments along the journey, I think, that were really important. So sort of kind of brave steps. Leaving Neighbor Goods was a very brave step. Obviously scared, where's our income going to come from? And then we joined another smaller market in Santon. I actually remember, I don't know if you remember this day, we were sitting at this market and it was dismal. I think we made a few $100.
Yeah.
There was bees all over our table. It was just, and we just sat on these two rocks on the floor, and I just said, no, come, our product is great. We know it's great. We need to get out there. You know, let's not settle for this. Let's keep going. We picked up and we kept going. When I left Net Forest, I actually signed up to 27 boxes in Melville, and I was there for, I think, just over a year. And that space really treated us really well as well. I had my domestic worker with me. So 6 by 2 meter little container. We were selling, we were making, we were doing everything, just the two of us, which was really awesome. And then when we started our first little store together in Pine Slopes, we decided to close Melville down. We didn't have the resources or the infrastructure or sort of the ability to monitor both sites effectively. So we decided to shut that down, and I think just as well. Yeah, and the rest is history.
Wow. That is so amazing. It's I love how you had a hustle, and you call it a hustle because I think when you have that side hustle, you're actually hustling. It's not that you're hustling for money, you're actually hustling for your passion, or you're hustling for time, which you don't always have enough of. And so I love that you called it a hustle, and then Naseeha, you called yours a passion. And I'm probably going to at some point dig the two of you to talk about that. Like, at what point would one move from a passion to a hustle? Do you see them to be that much different, and why? So maybe let's just dive into that right now, actually. Why would you call it a passion project rather than a hustle? And how would you define a hustle? Because there's lots of people out there right now, right? With the side hustle, it's quite trendy, that word anyway, that everyone's doing something on the sideline there. And so at some point, we're hoping for a lot of people, have your side hustle, but move it. And what we're hoping you do is move it into a passion zone. We don't always call it a passion project, at least I don't. I call it your passion zone, because when you're working in your passion zone, you don't feel like you're working, right? Doing the thing that you know makes you come alive. It doesn't feel like work. So let me give it back to you. What do you guys think?
For me, I use the word passion because that's how it started. I wasn't thinking about trying to make money or even necessarily what a customer wanted. I was thinking genuinely about what I enjoyed doing and what gave me a break from what was becoming less and less of a meaningful and fulfilling day job, my postgrad degree for me. So it was really about me and what I wanted to do. And when people showed an interest and I realized that I could, sell my passion, I kind of just went along with it. It wasn't planned that way. So I didn't see it as a hustle in the beginning. I saw it as something that I get lost in. And even now, like 6 years later, my passion is different. What I enjoy doing now in the business is not the same thing as 6 years ago. And the hustle came somewhere along the way. So I think for me, the passion can change. And for me, it was the start. But I didn't start thinking that this needs to be something. Does that make sense?
Yeah, it didn't start off with you saying, this is the business I'm going to start. It started off with just saying, like, let me bake a cake for my mom on a birthday and do it as well as I can. Yeah. Makes sense. Count?
It was a hustle 6 years ago, and I think it still is today, actually. I don't think that's changed much. I think I probably lose a bit of focus sometimes where the passion is important to keep you going for the long run. It's the marathon that you're running. But I'm a hustler. I think I always have been and I always will be, and I enjoy it. Yeah. I think it's a balance. You've got to switch between the two, and you've got to know when to switch between the two.
And I think we're yin yang in that way, which is nice.
Yes.
Just pull in those directions, and it helps with a successful partnership for us, I think.
Yeah. I mean, like last week, for example, was month end. Month end is just ridiculous in our business.
Yeah.
There was fires to put out, and that was when we needed to hustle. And now the hustle is over this week, and it's back to passion.
I love that. I love being able to find that balance, which is a fine line, right? And sometimes I think balance is an illusion. But it is about knowing what to do when and where to put your energies. And so I love that. So there's something else I wanted to talk to you two about. And so I think in the room we have mostly, except for the odd guy or so in the room, but somehow as women, we tend to be quite competitive. Like we have competitive streaks amongst ourselves. It's just somehow there's a wiring in us that makes us that way. And I just wanted to find out. So you guys started off being competitors at the neighborhood goods market, right? And somehow you forged a friendship or a partnership in some way. And I want to understand, what was that pivot? How did that happen? What kind of pushed you towards saying, I don't just see you as my competitor, but I could see you as my collaborator? And what was that shift that might needed to happen? And was it an internal shift? Was it a mental shift?
Tricky question.
It is a tricky question.
Our backgrounds are very, very different. Culturally, religiously, a lot about us is different. But there was something in the initial conversations, you know, when you would offload your stuff early, sort of like 6:30 on a Saturday morning, and you bump into each other. It's kind of like there's a little bit of a spark, and you're excited to see that person. And, oh, how's your week been? And, oh, no, I've just come home from Turkey and I'm sick. And
You remember that?
Yeah, it does.
But it is like a chemistry.
It is.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it is. And for me, like Cam had a good product, you know. You'd look around up from your table and kind of suss out everyone around you. And from day one, when I saw her stall, I was like, okay, this is a genuinely good product, and like I'm interested. I want to see how it goes, how it sells, how customers respond to it. It's different to mine, but in the same kind of industry. So that also just piqued my interest in, okay, could we strike something here? It was also different enough to complement what I was offering.
Yeah.
You know?
So we were involved in each other's houses from the beginning, because that's where the business started. So naturally on a Friday night, I would either be at her place and she would be at my place, and cats would be around and husbands would be around. So, you know, you start to form a bond and a connection on those evenings.
Yeah.
Which is so critical. I think that's so important, and something I think I saw Sipo put in the chat about the supportiveness of your families, and in this case your spouses. Both of you happen to be married, and both of your spouses are super supportive. I think, Cam, when I had a chat with you initially, you told me how your husband was so supportive and told you on one holiday, like, you can decide either you stay with Net Florist or you can jump ship and do your own thing and do it well. And Naseeha, you just said the same thing for Wasim. He said, for 6 months, just give it a try and see. And I think having those supportive relationships are so, so important. When you're on an entrepreneurial journey, it is those relationships, it is your safety net, it is the thing that catches you when you're about to fall. And so maybe you guys can talk to us about that. Like, what is it like having maybe a next layer of support when you are on an entrepreneurial journey, and how important is it? Is it important?
Do you want to go? Should I go? I think our number one cheerleader is on here, Adila. Our cheerleader. Yeah. She's been amazing, not even just to Naseeha, but to me and to the rest of the team, it's really important when you're down and out and you're at your lowest. She's the one calling you on, which is cool. But yeah, there's many people. I've got many friends. I even have my boss from Net Florist, who would help me ice macaroons on a Friday night and get on an absolute sugar high, you know, and she was pushing me and driving me to get this up and out.
Oh my gosh.
And my extended family back home in Pietermaritzburg, they've been really fundamental, I think. My dad is an entrepreneur himself, so I looked up to him a lot for advice. And I think in those darkest times, that's when those people really come to the light, which is great.
Yeah.
They don't let you give up.
We're privileged, really, to have had the level of support that we've had. And it's been everything. It's been key, starting from, like you say, Cheryl, you know, the inner and then the layers of support beyond that. For me, my parents are in a medical background and very much traditional professionals who work in healthcare, who kind of expected that us, the kids, would follow the same path, you know, and you can understand that. They're looking for stability for us. They're looking for security and familiarity, something that they can also understand. And I put 7 years into a degree in healthcare and then decided to do something else. So in the beginning, I didn't necessarily have their support, and that was difficult. And that's where the support of the key players in the story really, really made all the difference, because you can feel kind of isolated. It can be isolating, can be lonely trying something like this on your own, when all your friends and peers are either studying or maybe in a stable job, or their environment and their world is so different to yours, those few key supports are everything.
That is so true. The entrepreneurial journey is a very lonely journey, and there's not many who do and like know what that's like and will come along and support you. So big ups to your sister who's on. Just excuse me for 1 second, I'm gonna cough. I did that once at a seminar in the mic. It was really bad. So I see that there's questions, and so what I'm going to do now is going to allow. So I mean, we covered a few things currently, and I just want to invite others to get in. So if Andre or Kinsley is out there, I think if there's anyone queued up to want to come on and have a chat with us and ask a question, please, this is your chance.
I'm gonna put Adila on the spot right now, since the hubby that was quite instrumental in supporting this business. I see you're blushing and all, but we really want to just hear from you and just just get on this amazing business that your wife built with her partner. Adila, sorry to do this to you, but Can you hear me? Is he hiding? I don't know if Adila can hear me.
This is she's connecting.
Okay. There's some awesome comments that are coming through, ladies, for both of you, just to let you know. People really love your story. Megs is saying, I love your story. There was someone earlier on, it was Adila saying, I love the all-female team that was part of Oh My Cake. Here she is. Sorry to put you on the spot, yeah.
Hi, guys. Are you, can you hear me?
Yes.
Yes.
Awesome. I'm not camera ready, so thanks, Lou. Appreciate that.
You look lovely nonetheless.
Thank you, guys. Sure. For me, I'm just constantly in awe of Naseeha and Cam. I think the one thing that I always note is that when you're in corporate or studying or just in any kind of job, there's like set milestones to kind of stop and get promotions or, move up a ladder or graduate. And there's always these like set moments and milestones where you can stop and look back and celebrate. And I just always look at Nas and Cam and I try and I want to remind them like you guys achieved so much and there's no clapping. There's no massive award or, and it's come so much more in the last few years as the traction gets gained and there's lots of interviews and things like that. But for me, it's just amazing to see how much they achieve based on individual drive and, what's inside. So that's what I'm thinking right now. Question-wise, maybe Nas and Cam, is that something that you relate to? And, how do you guys stay so motivated when no one's saying, well done? There's no pats on the back.
What a nice question, actually. Thank you for asking that. So go for it, girls. Tell us. What happens today? I was having a little rant around that exactly. I mean, obviously not because of my own entrepreneurial journey, but just for something else. And it was like, gosh, people hardly ever recognize you for things. And then I got called and said, are you doing it for recognition or are you doing it for passion? So that was my challenge today. But I'd love your response to Adela's question. Yeah, go for it.
It hits a sensitive spot for me, for sure. The idea of appreciation versus recognition. And I think I have struggled a lot with it, not feeling recognized or appreciated. But then as soon as something goes wrong or there's some kind of fire that needs to be put out, fingers get pointed very quickly. But I think in my journey in Oh My Cake, that's been critical to just put the appreciation aside, put the recognition aside and learn from this. What do I need to learn from this issue or take it on, change, adapt, and move on. I think if I was stuck in my ways and stuck in old ways of not wanting to learn and just wanting to be praised all the time, I don't think I'd be sitting here right now.
Oh, wow. So you said two really cool things there. One, you said that it was about growth. So you had to push yourself. And I think that's so critical when you're an entrepreneur. It's about pushing yourself. It's about being okay. It's about being comfortable with discomfort, right? To say, I don't really like being here right now, but I have to be in it because I know this is how I get through, is to push through. So I love that. And the second thing you said was, if you didn't, you wouldn't have been here. And so in hindsight, like insight gives, in hindsight, you get insight, right? And I so love that you could do the reflection and say, I'm glad I pushed through then because this is where I am right now because of it. So yeah, such nice reflection. Thank you for that. Naseeha, you want to say something?
It's difficult because it is really personal. You know, we all, like you were saying, Cheryl, are you doing it for validation or are you doing it for yourself? It's normal for us to want validation and want recognition. It's just part of the human condition. I feel like it's not something that needs to be overcome or squashed. You just have to find a way to kind of create it for yourself most of the time so that you can get by. And I think we had to really work. We're very different people. Our personalities are so different. So we've had to work to understand each other and know when the other person really needs it. They need a bit of motivation this week. They need a bit more recognition. They need a thank you. It's going to go a long way. And we have different ways that we like that expressed towards us. So we've had to try and be there for each other in that. And then for me personally, I look for it now when we see the team, someone in our team succeed or really level up in something, or a customer have an amazing experience. The thank you might not come directly to me, Naseeha. They might never know my name or even have met me, but I kind of have to step back and say, okay, you know what, that's mine. I'll take that actually and feel good about it. So I think the work for me, like I have to do it. I have to create it for myself. But it's certainly I have a sister and a husband sitting here behind me and people around us who do actually vocalize it and say, you guys are doing an amazing job. So we love that.
Wonderful. I love it. Do you know, there's something else that, as you said that, that made me think about something. Naseeha, you said, even if it doesn't come directly to me, but I can look back, I can look at it and say, I'll take that. I'm okay with that. And I think that's something we're not very good at doing is being able to take that. Or if someone says, well done, Evan, you say like, oh, it's not that nice. Oh, no, I'm not that good. And you're always pushing it aside. But I think there comes a time when you also have to be able to take that recognition and appreciate it and say, yeah, I put the work in. And yes, thank you for noticing. Thank you for noticing that I'm actually doing a good job. And then that in itself gives you the energy to keep pushing further and pushing towards excellence. So I love that. I love how it's good for you to stand back and say, yeah, actually, I'll take that. I'm actually quite good at it. And I'm not afraid to take that recognition or that affirmation. Cool. Do you want to field anything from the chat, Lucretia? I'll give you a moment to just let us know if anything's coming through.
Yeah, we've got two questions. We've got the first question from our chair lady. I don't know. Kumo, are you comfortable coming on video? I think the other ladies would love to meet you. And then after Kumo, Hope, if you don't mind, also coming in. Hope also works for Superwoman Hub, which is a platform for ladies in tech. It would be interesting to hear your insights. Kumo says her connectivity is poor, so I'm just going to read out her question here before it disappears. She says there are so many people, so many of us who always talk about ideas, and I have some, a great idea, but entrepreneurship in general is challenging and difficult. Is there anything that you ladies would say is unique to women regarding that entrepreneurship journey, given your experiences? This is the question from Kumo.
There you go. Should I go for it? So the ideas in my head, it's difficult to put it into words, but I would say just pull up a seat and sit at the table. You know, don't be shy to sit at the boardroom table with everybody else. And you don't necessarily need to do things the way they've been done before or the way that your male counterparts do it. You need to do it in the way that you feel is right for you and your business at the time.
Your intuition, literally.
Exactly, 100%.
And I think without generalizing, women have that connectedness to their intuition and just general connectedness to people, or at least I know we do, in different ways. And maybe in certain environments that's perceived as a weakness or a softness, but for us it's really a strength because we've built this business with people. Honestly, it's running, and we're sitting here today being able to chat to you guys because of the people running this business. And they are actually mostly women. 99, I think our team is 99% female. And I attribute a lot of that to our being able to connect with the women in our team. And I mean that like in a deeper sense, like on an emotional level as well. Because it's not just about the work at the end of the day. If we have the right people and the right team and we are aligned on our values and our vision and we understand each other and we understand that there are moms and sisters and responsibilities and families going on for all of these women, at the end of the day, we can actually create something that works for everyone. And so they'll stay and get the work done because, we have an understanding.
I love that. Like, you guys don't even know how important that is in the space that we're in, especially women giving women a chance. I was recently on another platform where they have a campaign called Pull Her Up. And I think women have the opportunity to do that, to pull each other up. And I so love that your business is not just about making macaroons or just making cakes or having a retail business, but it's really about can we give others a platform? And Cam, I think you say it so nice when you say, like, pull up a chair, you know, take your seat at the table. Someone doesn't always have to do it for you, but are you willing to take that opportunity to step up and make yourself known in that space? And I mean, that's why we're calling the series Own Your Space. And so I love that. I think it's so important. And there's something else you said, Naseeha, that I think is so important for us to just pause and think about. And I think it's about, can we be easy friends? That's what I call it. You know, in being in a partnership, in a relationship, in a marital relationship, can you be an easy friend? Can you understand that everyone's on a journey, everyone's in process, and if you can come alongside them and understand what that is, you can relate so much better and you can achieve so much better. I think for those of you who've received your meals, you probably got a little note inside of your box that said that when women come together, women do incredible things. And so I do think that you guys, this is more than just you baking cupcakes or macarons. I think this is about you changing how we as women cooperate, collaborate, and work together to make more spaces for each other, especially around financial inclusion. And that's a whole different discussion for another day. So let me not go there. So I can't see anything else coming up. So what I want to talk to you guys about is this thing called, I call it auntie fear, right? So now we all have this aunt, right? Like, I hope none of you are those aunts, but you have this aunt, you go to a wedding or you go to some family function and they ask you that awkward question. So let me tell you what that is for me. And this is me being honest and vulnerable in this moment. So I'm married and I have been for 12 years, but I have no kids. And that's a choice for my husband and I not to have kids. But you know, old Indian aunties at funerals and weddings, they don't get this life choice that we have. And so they always come and they nudge you. Like, they have this way of like engaging with you that like grinds me, right? They're like, so Cheryl, when's the baby coming? Like, no baby coming. And they give me this whole conversation. But every time they see you, they'll ask you this annoying thing, right? And it's the aunt you just can never get away from. So I call aunt fear, the fear of failure. I call it aunt fear because it's that annoying thing that you can't get away from. You can't un-aunt that auntie. She's going to be at every function, but you have to deal with her, and you have to figure out how do you deal with her in a way that's still respectful, but in a way where you can still guard yourself. And so I know that fear is there. It's probably faces you every day. And you guys have gone through different iterations of this business, from starting in that small little garage-like shop into moving into a proper retail space. from starting off by taking things from your own kitchen. And I'm sure there was that voice in your head that said, but you? Why you? Why do you think you could have this or do this or make this a success? Or even in hiring staff, I'm sure there was a voice in your head that said, like, will you really be able to pay this person's salary? I don't know. I mean, that voice could say any kind of crazy things, but we listen to it some of the times. And sometimes it is the thing that stands in the way of us being able to do what we're called to do in the world. And so the research says that the number one reason people never get into entrepreneurship is the fear of failure. And so I was hoping you guys can tell us, what is that like for you? What's Aunt Fear telling you, and how do you deal with her?
That's an intense one.
Yeah.
And yeah, fear, right? With the pandemic, it's literally the fear has gripped us in one way or another. And I think it's manifested differently for everyone. Fear of getting sick, fear of losing jobs, losing loved ones, not being able to travel and see loved ones, whatever it is, on whatever level, it's been the year of fear. And I think for me, I mean, that fear is a constant. It actually doesn't really ever go away. This year, like you mentioned, Cheryl, with maybe the example of having fear of being able to pay your staff. In this year, that fear was completely overwhelming, and it was paralyzing at times, just to be honest. I think it's really, really real. And it tests you. And there's actually no escaping it. You kind of just have to push through it. And for me, the way to push through it is to do work, the next step, however small that step might be. Sit down and do it. Draw the budget. At the start of the lockdown, Cam and I didn't know, I mean, we all didn't know, right, what the heck we were all in for on the 24th of March or whenever it was, when it was first announced. In that week before, we had this feeling that stuff was going to go down. We might get locked down. It would affect our business. And I mean, I think we were both kind of racked with fear. We sat down, we drew up a plan. Phase 1 will be, we'll do X, Y, Z. If it goes to phase 2, we'll close the doors and do ABC. We didn't even know what we were in for with levels of lockdown and regulations, etc. But I think just that exercise released some of the fear. The circumstances didn't change, but how we felt changed. And that helped a lot. So for me, over the years, just doing something is really the way to get through the fear, because it doesn't go away. It's always there.
Yeah, spot on. I agree with you. The fear's always been with me, just because of the nature of the business and how our roles are divided. I always need to pay salary, so I'm always very aware of finances and where we're sitting and cash flow and things like that. So that's always been a fear for me from day one. And then lockdown happened, and it got so real. Luckily, something about my intuition made me get up and run to the bank a week before lockdown to get a loan, just to be able to see us through this time. But like you say, one step in front of the other. But if I sit here now and I look back to pre-lockdown versus now, we've got a lot of systems and processes in place that we didn't previously, that keep us in check and that basically take care of that fear. We've got very clear targets set, daily targets, targets for the online store, targets for Uber Eats, targets for the production team. So we've just really springboarded from that fear, which is awesome.
Yeah, the systems and the processes give you peace.
Yes.
We trust in the process.
Yes.
I love that. Yeah, that's true though, right? Like, knowledge is power. Like, when you can map it out and you can see, like, okay, plan A, plan B, okay, fine. Okay. But it's the not knowing, it's the living with the chaos sometimes that gives you the most anxiety. So 100%, I hear you on that one. And I love it. I love, just take that small step, Naseeha, you said, and I think that's so critical. And I think it's so simple, but I think sometimes you forget, like, just push through, just take that small step, whatever that small step is, just push through. They say the only way out is through, right? You have to get through it. And so I think also the thing that you learned, and I think what's amazing about this is that so many businesses have folded during this time. It's so sad. There's so many businesses that just did not make it through this time. And so I think for all of us here in the room with you, we're so proud of you that you've managed to, like, soar through this time. You didn't just like survive. You didn't survive. You thrived, right? Like, us at E Squared, we know how you guys have thrived during this time, and that's really because you guys were smart enough to pivot way before any crisis hit us. You already were pivoting and innovating. And I think that's something that's really important. And so I'm going to spend a moment giving you a chance to talk about how do you innovate? What inspires you to innovate, and how critical is innovation to running an entrepreneurial venture?
I mean, in our industry, anyone would probably say this about their own industry, but I feel like in ours, innovating constantly is so critical because it's cakes and cupcakes, it's desserts, you know, they are everywhere. We'll obviously argue that ours are different and you won't get a product like ours easily, but everyone's doing it. And especially before the lockdown, because unfortunately now, I mean, a lot of places, like you mentioned, Cheryl, have closed. But you got to stand out. And we've always wanted a social media driven business. And to stand out on social media in 2020, it's crazy. What a challenge. So innovating for us, we have different ideas of how to innovate in the business. For me, it's around the product specifically and the way we communicate with our customers on social media and the way our team works and we communicate with our team. That for me is where the innovation needs to be on point. For Cam, I think it's different.
Yeah, it's very much technology based. The way we sort of engage with our customers, point of sale, service, that sort of thing, stock management, everything to do with technology has just got to be innovative. And I think what's been critical for us now is, so our online store is just over a year old. We launched it sometime mid-July last year. And I think that's been key for us this year in terms of the thriving. And at the time of doing it, we were so ready to throw in the towel, both of us. It took us probably about 14 months to build this website. And it was fights and it was long hours and, you know, it was just clashes and we were so ready to give in. But there was something about our intuition that said, no, keep going. This is amazing. And I think we're so glad right now that we did that. We just stuck to our guns and we stuck to the plan and we kept going.
Yeah, but now that it's up and running, there's got to be something new every 2 weeks, every month.
Yeah.
What's the next project? How are we making the customer experience better? What new thing can we introduce that our competitors are not onto yet? So it doesn't even just end there. It's, has to be consistent.
I am an aunt to two nieces, and so obviously, like, I had to tell them about my cake. And so I showed it to Isabel, who loves to bake. She's 8 years old and she tries all kinds of things. She's the same age as Lou's daughter. And so she tries all kinds of things. And so for this birthday, she wants to have a luminous birthday party. And when I took her to the site, the first thing she saw was that you guys have this. She says, Auntie Shay, they're so cool. They have a luminous cake. And so I so love it. I so love that you guys are on point and that you are innovating and you're staying relevant. And so you guys said something that's really important. You said something about customer experience. And I think it's not something that many people pay attention to. And so it's not just about someone coming in, buying a couple of macaroons, buying a cupcake or ordering a cake and walking away. It's really about the entire experience from the time you probably enter the store or get online to the time you leave. What is that experience like? Because that is the thing that will bring customers back. And so I love that you guys are already speaking a language that not many companies have fully understood yet about that full customer experience. And that right now, it's not about selling products, it's about selling experiences. That's what people are paying for, right? I mean, just look at Apple stores. Apple stores no longer about selling product and having shelves of things. It's about how do you feel when you get into that space? And so I love it. I love how you guys are innovating. And I think that you're so relevant at this time. And so well done to you. Kudos to you for that. I want to just take a quick pause here because I want to check in. Everybody should have been having dinner. I'm hoping that dinner arrived at your house. If it has, send us a message. Tell us if you're enjoying it. Tell us if you, if it has not come, and then Megan will help figure that out for you. But if you have, let us know how that's going. We did say that this is a conversation around the dinner table. So we're hoping that if your meal is there, that you're busy munching away, but still listening. Cool. I'm going to hand over to Lou because I know that there's messages in the chat. So I'm hoping that I'm hoping that she's going to tell us what's been happening in that very busy space.
It is busy. I love that it's mostly from our chair lady again, who's constantly interacting with different entrepreneurs. So one of the questions that she asked, they're rolling up the screen, so I'm trying to keep up, is that, you know, what's your take on actual versus online? Because it seems now that everyone's kind of trending towards online, and also the lockdown, I think, intensifies that aspect of doing everything virtually or doing everything, you know, away from this. I still don't close the cedar, whatever you decide, don't close the cedar store. But she wants to just get an understanding from your side. What's your view going forward regarding online or physical store? And how does that impact, related to Shay's question, the customer experience?
With our product, we're always going to need a physical store of some kind because it's food, and it's food that's visually appealing and people want to see it. So that's something we've kind of agreed on, that the way the stores are set up might change in the future, but there will always be a face that you can go and visit. Obviously, one of our other unique selling points, which some of you guys might not know, are our cakes to go, which are basically beautiful one-of-a-kind cakes that you can walk in and buy from the physical store 7 days a week. So it's a complete lastminute.com solution, and you walk away looking as if you've prepared well in advance for an event. And that's something that requires a physical store. And the interaction with the team and just the interaction with the product is so important. So we actually want to blend the two. It's just a careful balance of how we divide up our efforts.
From a numbers point of view, something which is really interesting. So we obviously shut down our physical store on the 27th of March. We started trading online on the 1st of May. And for the whole of May, the physical store was closed, so no customers were allowed. And then the 1st of June, we opened up. I had a look at the numbers today. It's taken us 3 months to get our retail numbers back to the way they were previously. And we're actually seeing an increase now, which is phenomenal. It's strange. It's not meant to work that way, but it is. And with the cakes to go, they are just flying off the shelf. On a Thursday afternoon, for example, we'll have 60 cakes in that fridge. On a Saturday afternoon, there'll be 9. They just disappear. So yeah, I don't think we could ever take that away from our customers. It's that piece of magic that they come to experience.
Yeah.
That is so cool. That is really awesome.
Yeah, I think a lot of people might have issues with proximity regarding stores. So online definitely helps. I mean, I caught a competition, I don't know if you guys were aware of it, on 94.7 about when Annele and the team were talking about what is the best cake or dessert in town in Joburg. And I think you guys came second. Like, I was tuning in every day to just say, come on, oh my cake, how can, you know? So there were a lot of people who came in online at the time to say, you know, I love all my cake. It's just that it's far away, but every time I'm in the area, I always pop in for one of the cupcakes. I know my daughter, like Sherry says, she loves anything. So the cupcakes every year, you know, it's a long discussion that we have to say, what are you taking to class? Are you taking, you know, which cupcakes are you taking to class? And I also just love that they're different sizes. So even if you are just having like a small, you can have like a really cute cake. I love the appearance, by the way, of your products. It's just, you know, and then they taste good too. So I think from our audience, there's also messages of that the food is amazing. So thanks to the E Squared, and Sipho would like to say to everyone, Happy Women's Month. So thanks and Sips for organizing food and eats for everyone. There is another question, I think, from Palesa this time. She says, has your business been socially driven from the beginning? And if so, did you guys handle the social media yourself, or did you hire someone to do it for you? And I guess related to that, though, I saw an earlier question from someone, I think it was Kumo, who asked, what's your take on influencers? Are you going to get any of our South African influencer to kind of sit and look good and eat your cake, or you don't believe in that type of marketing? So those two questions.
I think it's your baby.
On the social media, no, it wasn't social media driven from the beginning. It's taken I'd say the past 5 to 6 years to really gain some proper social media traction organically. So we never actually made use of any other experts in the field to help us with our social media. Like Cam mentioned, it was my baby. So that's what I've focused a lot of my time on over the years, just trying to perfect content and engage with people. Could it have accelerated faster with some help? Probably. But it was one of those things I enjoyed doing. And it just, to be honest, when we were working together, our focus was so much more on the product and on delivering and on the customer that the social media would just carry on in the background. And even now, we don't use anybody to help us with our social media. I still do all of the social media with some help from our team for creating content. And on the influencers, we have some local celebrities who have become regulars at the store, which is really cool. We'll see the team freak out every now and then when someone walks in. And we've had a couple of features on MTV and different shows, etc. We just haven't quite got it right with influencers, but it's something we've talked about a lot in our team. I don't know if you want to comment.
No, we have to give it a try.
We want to. I think we get stuck on, how to approach and maybe getting the right brand fit of influencer as well. We have those that come to us, but then there might be other influencers that we have in our sites that we feel are also a good fit to, post our product. And to be honest, it's something we do want to do.
And then to be able to sort of get a return on investment and measure whether,
it's having an effect.
What is its success? Yeah. Put a rand value to it. Or
Guys, we figure out everything as we go along, like really. So this is also something we still need to figure out. Genuinely, this is how everything has happened over the years. Yes, that's a good idea. How do we do that? And then we just have to figure it out. So
yeah, the great thing about the partnership in the business is when we say we need to do something, we can literally put it together within 24 hours and we can do it pretty damn well.
Yeah, but we haven't done the influencer thing though.
No. We haven't ready for tomorrow.
Yeah.
That is so interesting though. Like, we brought you guys on to inspire us, but we're so glad that the questions are inspiring you.
Yeah.
Totally. So we'll definitely see who you guys get as an influencer or influencers for Oh My Cake. But I think it's a nice segue for me to talk about something that I think is so critical to businesses and partnerships, and that's values. So even when you're looking for an influencer, I think it's going to be about values alignment, right? You want someone who understands your brand and believes in your brand and believes what's the vision of the company more than just the products itself. And so what I'd like to ask the two of you is maybe talk to us about, how do you do values alignment? Do you have the same values? Do you share the same values? And then how does those values or shared values help you drive how you lead your team and the values that you live out, and not just like written values that are on some paper or document shelved somewhere, but it's the lived values that makes Oh My Cake, Oh My Cake.
It's an interesting one. We did the cheesy exercise, where you have to write down your mission statement and you have to write down, and at the time you sort of, why am I doing this? I know what I'm doing. But we came to a few values on that day, put them on a canvas, put everybody's handprints on the canvas, and the canvas now lives in our kitchen. And you can see these values, and they come up on a daily basis without you even realizing it. They're definitely driving you to make better decisions. And I think when we have crunch times or heated discussions or difficult discussions or, sort of critical turning points, we go back to the values. And does it line up with our values or does it not? And then that often chooses the direction we go in.
I think the broader values that Cam and I have overlap in personally definitely helps. Maybe we just got lucky there with our partnership. For example, family and a family lifestyle is something that we both value and have valued from day one. So now we'll incorporate that in our team values. And guys, this is a family, so we treat each other like family. And if you have your own family, time with them, and working hours and flexibility are all things that are important to us as a company. And so we expect you guys to value those things too. But then, I mean, to be honest, we also have values that clash.
Yeah.
We're different people. And that can be difficult at times. And also your values can change over time as you grow. I mean, our partnership is 6 years old now. What Cam valued and what I valued 6 years ago compared to today might be completely different. So sometimes there's conflict.
It's true.
So maybe the next question is, how do you navigate through that conflict? How do you still get back to can we keep the important, and how do you navigate through those conflicts? So how do you guys journey through that? Because I'm sure there's a lot of people who are on this right now who are thinking like, oh, I don't know if I want to partner with someone because I don't get on with people very easily, or I don't know how I'm going to deal with hard decisions together with someone. So how do you guys navigate that space? And how does your values ground you when you are navigating that space?
With help, firstly.
I was going to say, with help, professional help.
Yeah,
we've got a coach.
We've got a life coach who helps us. Specifically, we called on him in a time of conflict, right? Was it then?
No, it was just before, actually.
Just before. We had a premonition.
Yeah.
And, he had to be a mediator and help us get through some stuff when we weren't seeing eye to eye. And I think the fact that we weren't afraid to say, you know what, we need help. This is actually outside of our own sphere of control or, expertise. I think that was a good thing for us because that's helped a lot.
Yeah, I think probably a year down the line and we're still with the coach.
Yeah.
And he's got the ability to kind of tread into sensitive areas, but get us out of there constructively, which is cool.
Sometimes you need a third party, you need a neutral, you need someone else to help.
And then we're women, which just adds a whole layer of complication and, tough. But it's always, so the one thing I've gotten from him is that once you have the breakdown, you'll have a breakthrough. It will come. It may take its time, but it will come. And the breakthrough is great.
It's worth it.
And a lot of the sort of tough times in the last 6 years have always been followed by great times and successful times and happy times. So, yeah, it's not going to be a straight line. It's going to be up and down, but you need the one without the other. It's just,
If we were a marriage and if we were parents, one thing we've always been successful at is putting the kids, the business.
Yeah.
We can be pissed off at each other and mad, literally, at each other and not want to see each other and go and get stuff done at work or have the meeting with the team
and no one will know.
And no one will know. The kids come first. But
it's been cool. I think this year, obviously, she's literally a spouse and a partner in the business sense. And, so taking criticism and feedback probably is the hardest coming from her than anybody else. But she knows the best. She knows me inside and out from a business point of view. So she knows how I need to change. And if I get on board and change, then it's great. And because we're so different to each other, we're not trying to compete on one skill. So Naseeha is very connected and very intuitive. She's got the team wax. There's just something. I don't even know if it's a skill. It's something about your wiring. And I'm getting that from her slowly but surely, which is really cool.
You're so lovely. Hey, you're just so lovely. Like, you speak so well of each other. And I just, I'm as an older sister sitting here, I can't help but just dote on the two of you. That this is such a lovely partnership, that you're so balanced. The fact that you have a coach, obviously, you just gain so many more points in my book. But yes, having someone who's objective and who can help you navigate that space is so important. And I think not many people understand the role of having a coach in their lives, whether it's a life coach or a leadership coach or an executive coach, whatever kind of coach. I mean, if you want to be the best tennis player, you don't go and ask your neighbor to say, hey, come coach me. No, you go and find someone who's really good in that particular thing, and you ask them to come along and journey with you and help you to become the best tennis player. And we all need that in our lives. We need people who are going to push us to becoming the best versions of us. And I can see you guys in that process, and it's lovely to watch, I must say. As a fellow entrepreneur alongside you, I'm learning in the space too. And so Thank you for being so inspiring and for sharing so openly. So I know there's a question out on that chat box that I kind of glanced from my eyes. So I'm going to give Lou the chance to ask that question because I think it's quite an important one.
The question here asked the lady, how did you prioritize which systems in your business to put in place first? Because obviously, I think if you're a first-time entrepreneur, you've got budget constraints. And so how do you prioritize which systems to put in place and which, and how do you even agree on it as a partnership?
I think simple from the beginning of the days, it's whatever fire is burning brightest. That's the system we put in place first. We put in systems are safety nets. So obviously we have a great team, very skilled, but you need a system to back them up and a system to support them. I think one thing that's treated us very well is apps. There is a free app for everything out there, which has been pretty cool. And even 6 years on, we're still implementing systems. We're still updating systems. So our point of sale back in the day, 6 years ago, was a free Square register, and now it's upgraded to a paid one. That gives us a lot more analytics and data. So sort of my approach has been start off free, just to get the job done. See what you want, test it out. And then once you really know the area well, then you can start spending money on it. But yeah, that's just my opinion on it. I don't think it's the be all and end all.
But I think Cam made a good point in that you start with the fires that are burning the brightest. So literally today we had a meeting with our management because there was a huge disaster over the weekend with some orders. And that disaster revealed systems that are missing and that need to be in place. So today we brainstormed a new system. So even now, sometimes things have to go wrong first before we realize, oh, we need a system for this. And maybe like there's no guidebook that we're using that says these are the 5 systems you need in place to start a business. Neither of us has that kind of experience or background anyway. So I think now we're at a stage where there's the disasters that inform the systems, and now we have some space to step back because there's a management team and say, okay, disasters aside, where are the weak links in this chain and where do we need a system? But definitely in the beginning, I'd say probably the last 3 to 5 years, wherever the fire is burning, that's where you need a system.
My bad says Master of Disaster.
Yeah, her OMC name is Master of Disaster. So Cam is an expert in this field.
So I was actually going to ask you guys that next, right? Like you have the most coolest titles. The Master of Disaster is one, and then remind me what the other is. It's
Confectionist, Perfectionist. That's
yes. And so I was just going to ask about that, like to say, how do you guys know who needs to do what? How do you play to strengths? Is it easy? And does it take hard conversations to say, this is the kind of things I will do, and these are the kind of things you can do because we're playing to strengths?
You can answer.
Sure. We were lucky in some respects that we met each other having different natural strengths. Like we were saying, Cam is definitely stronger in being analytical, and I'm stronger maybe in some softer skills like connecting with the team. But how have we done it? You know, it was only in this year that we sat down in January and wrote down all of our roles and responsibilities and kind of double checked it. Like, where's the overlap? Where's the stuff you really don't want to be doing that maybe I'm happy to do? Up until now, we've kind of just gone with our natural strengths and hoped for the best. Am I wrong?
No, I would agree. It keeps evolving. So 6 years ago, we would be seeing each other every single day, and we'd have meetings all day, every day, you know, sort of casual discussions across the cake decorating table. And it's totally changed. And I think what I'm realizing is that it's okay to change the way we work together. And this is the work that she does, and this is the work that I do. And now we meet once a week for a strategic meeting, and the rest is pretty much over WhatsApp. And that's okay. And that treats us fine for now. But maybe in 6 years, we're going to need something else. So just keep adapting and keep talking.
Yeah, I love that. I was hoping that you'd hit that. It's about the communication, right? It's about keeping that going, keeping open communication going, being honest, being transparent, and really I mean, roles can change at any time. It's about how you're navigating it through being open and transparent with each other, being accountable to each other. I love the handprints with the values. In a previous life, I used to do that with organizations. We'd unpack what the values mean. So what does the lived values mean? So what is the behaviors that are attached to those values? And then we put handprints on them. And I was in one organization in Uganda once, and they said, I was there, and they said, this guy, he's not doing this thing. So they held him by the hand, and they took him to the poster, and they said, is this your handprint? You said that you would when you put your handprint here, and now you're not living it out. And I so loved it. Just from an accountability perspective, it gives you the room for each other to challenge each other. So I think that you guys, well done for that kind of values. So we are running out of time because this is so exciting, and I know that there are going to be a lot more. Oh, look, they extended our time. So we have 15 more minutes. So what I'm going to do is check if anyone said anything in the chat quickly. Maybe I'm going to give it back to Lou, and she can read out what Kumo just posted in the last, maybe just read Kumo's response there so we don't miss it.
Kumo is saying, in your last response, Camilla and Naseeha, your response to systems, it seems there's a broader need for supporting small businesses and startups so that for a while you, as the founders, can concentrate on the business itself until you have firm, you have firm footing. Some of the missing things may be what makes many businesses not survive beyond 3 years. Obviously, we're now 6 years old, a year past that. But I think she had asked an important question earlier on related to that, to just say, how important is a structured approach? I know you said you guys, you sort of, over the years continued to evolve, and some things I think arise out of need, like when you were talking about COVID and how you approached all the associated risks with COVID. You had to sit down and scenario plan, maybe not even processing it as, we're now being more structured about something. So she was just asking, to what extent do you think a structured approach is critical in your success? Or is it critical?
That's a tricky one, because I'm inclined to say just that that it's, at least for us, in my opinion, it wasn't that important. It was more important just to start. Mm-hmm. And like you mentioned earlier, Cheryl, stuff from our kitchens. I mean, we still here now today with random wooden spoons and cups and teaspoons and spatulas and stuff that we find in a store that's from our home kitchens from 6 years ago. It just is a reminder of, like, we just started. There wasn't a structured approach. Maybe a little bit more for you guys with 27 boxes and having the 4 Ways Farmers Market, etc. But for me, the structure in the beginning didn't matter. What mattered was just starting and having a good product that was consistently good and a customer that would consistently pay. And actually, that was good enough. Mm-hmm. And now that we're in a place where we can step back and analyze things and put more structures and systems in place, that's fine, because now we can create the capacity to do that. I think I might have had analysis paralysis if I'd sat in the beginning trying to take a structured approach. It would have been too overwhelming for me, at least maybe with a complete support system like E2 or somebody else to take me through it. Maybe it would have been different, but for me, it wouldn't have worked, just with my personality.
I think in the beginning days, our products were literally flying off the shelves. There's so many times out at markets or at the store or whatever. So we were so focused on just getting the product out there as quickly as possible. Yeah. And in hindsight, I don't think I would have done anything differently. We were doing deliveries. We were icing cakes. I wouldn't change that. The structure is forming now.
And we had to put out those fires and get familiar with those disasters to understand them properly. Yeah.
That is so true. That is so true. My husband's an entrepreneur, and I can remember once I got to the store and I found no one in the shop, and I was like, why is there no one in the shop? This is so boring. Only for him to had let the staff go early, and he was on his hand and knees wiping the floors. I was like, what are you doing? And he laughed and he said, when you're an entrepreneur, you do everything, like from mopping the floors to serving the customers to doing home deliveries if you must. You do everything. But it's in doing every single role that you start to get really good and understand your business with such granularity that there's very few people who can come in, BS you. You kind of, I'm not sure I'm supposed to use the word, but you really can understand your business. And I think it's so important if someone is starting out, do everything from the scratch. Get used to being able to do every single role, because when you finally get someone to do it, you also understand what they're doing. You'll know what their hurdles are, and you'll help them get over it, because that's really what you move into in being an entrepreneur, is that you move into a leadership role and you get others on board and you start to lead them. Which leads me to my next question, which is, what are you guys doing to grow yourselves? So we know that this is a famous saying that says a business only grows as far as you as the leader or the entrepreneur is growing. So I'd love to know, what are you guys doing to grow yourselves? What are you reading at the moment? What are you watching? What is the last TED Talk you watched that you think we must watch? Let me into your minds in terms of your growth journey. I just want, maybe this is a selfish question for myself, but I just want to know what your growth journey is like.
I'll let you go first. Me? Yeah, you're the reader.
Oh, yeah. Just feels, it feels for the first time in 6 years that now we have to actually sit back and go, okay, it's time to grow now. Now we're hitting a bit of a plateau, and now it's time to stretch ourselves. So I'm currently reading the CEO of Facebook, Cheryl's book, which is really good, and it speaks to this exact topic about women showing up, and how in her industry women don't show up, which is very tragic.
Is that lean in?
Hey?
The lean in?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. Have you read it?
Yes.
Yeah. Yeah, it's very tricky.
Anything else that's inspiring you guys? I mean, it doesn't have to be anything particular, but what's inspiring you? What's helping you get better at what you're doing? Do you guys, I mean, besides having life coaches, do you have a business coach? And I think another thing that I'd like to understand is, how do you view us as E-Squared? I know, Naseeha, you got some funding from us with the I can't remember the name of that program at that time, but do you guys think of E-Squared as a support system? And do you think of us as part of your growth journey? And if so, why? I think that'll be interesting, not just for me, but for others on the call to understand as well.
Absolutely, we do. E-Squared have always been there for us, and this is not a paid sponsorship, guys. This is our organic opinion from day one. So, I mean, 2014 was when I entered the startership thing and won. 2017 was when Llewellyn from E-Squared pushed us to apply for an accelerator program that they were piloting. We entered that program, and the seed funding there actually helped us set up our shop fit at Cedar Square and put us in contact with some great networks and some suppliers and what do you call it? Just resources that we still, networks that we actually still using now today, long after that accelerator has finished. And again, we're in talks with E-Squared at the moment on the next step. So they've always been there either as a customer or as support for the business. And they're always open to conversation. And they actually reach out to us and they push us over and over again. They check in, they initiate the conversation. I think we appreciate that as well, because sometimes we need a push.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. They're probably going to make us grow very quickly
in
the next week.
Yeah. We're going to take it as a compliment that we're very pushy. But that's such nice feedback. Thank you. And we're always going to come back for cakes. I mean, like, you guys are our go-to cake place. So that's definitely, like, you can bet on us as a team that we're going to support you from eating the cakes perspective. Yeah, we're going to be there. But the investment team is amazing, and Lucretia is part of this team. And I think one of the reasons why the sessions are so important for us, Lucretia and I are new to the investment team. And I think for us, it's really important that we get to meet the female fellows, because for us, that's something we're passionate about. And we really want the female fellows to be able to find their side hustle, find their passion project, and then come to us. Even if you're not ready yet for anything. If you don't want to join the accelerator, you don't want to, like, you just need someone to talk to, then we want you to know that maybe it might be difficult in this space. And we know that in this space, it's really hard for female founders to find other females in the space, in the investment space especially, who you can go to and speak with and talk about all the challenges that you face. We want you to know that there's an open door for us at E Squared. And now that there's more females in the team, we're hoping that we could reach out to a lot more of you. And we're hoping that these sessions give you the opportunity to connect with us. So I hope you got a chance to meet Lou and myself. And I hope that we're nice people. We're nice people, right, Lou? We're very nice people. We're nice people, right, Naseeha?
Absolutely. Of course.
No paid partnership. We're just making that very clear. But we really would love to engage with you. So this is just my own personal shout out. Like, do come knock on our door when doors are finally open. They're not yet, but we have virtual doors, and you're more than welcome to knock on them. So the last thing, and I think we could spend the whole night together, but I think just in me closing, I think what I want to talk about is about how important it is for the Naseehas and Camillas out there to come share their stories with us. I think it's young women like yourself who are doing it, who are honest and open about the journey, and that it's not always an easy one, but it is one that everyone should embark on if they have an entrepreneurial bent. And so with that, I'd like to say thank you. Thank you so much for sharing this almost 2 hours with us of your time. We really appreciate it. We don't take it for granted. Thank you for sharing so openly with us all your nitty-gritties of how you're making Oh My Cake amazing, and sharing your lessons with others that are on this call. And I think this is my challenge to everyone out there. You know, Marianne Williamson has a really amazing quote, which we all know. It was made famous by Madiba when he did his inaugural speech. And part of it was, when you let your own light shine, you unconsciously give others permission to do the same. When we are liberated from our fears, our presence automatically liberates others. And you guys have done that today. Like, you are a light that shined really bright to tell us if we could do it, then you could do it too. And so thank you for doing that. Thank you for giving us permission. Just you taking that step forward, you give every other young woman, you give a Taniwa, you'll give a Bella, you'll give all of them permission that when they step into an Oh My Cake, they can say, oh, if they can do it, I can do it too. And so for that, we're really proud of you, and we say thank you. But more than that, I think this is a challenge for the others who are on this call. If these two young women can do it and carve a space and own the space for themselves, then I think you can too. And so what we're hoping to start is a Me Too campaign, a very different one, right? Like, we know the Me Too campaign got so much traction about how sexual abuse and sexual harassment happened in the workplace. And so many women, when one woman stepped forward, so many others got permission to do the same. And so we're trying to flip the switch on that and say, in the entrepreneurial space, can we highlight more women who are doing it so that the rest of us could say, yes, me too. I too can do that. And so with that, we want to say thank you so much for hanging in there with us. Thank you for listening. Thank you for engaging us. If you haven't yet done the poll, please do. Please just hit the poll. It's next to the chat. So if you look to your right-hand side of the screen, the middle option is a poll. Please hit that poll. Please give us some data. We'd really love that. It'll help us plan the next session as well. And with that, I want to say thank you so much to the two of you, Naseeha and Camilla. We wish you so much success. We're hoping that there's going to be Oh My Cakes in every mall across the country so that everyone can get the opportunity to taste your yummy treats. And I want to say thank you to Lucretia. Thank you, my friends. Thank you for making time to co-host with me. It's been amazing. And to everyone else out there, thank you for coming. And to Sipo and Megan for making this webinar possible. And please do sign up for the next one. Do look out for our social media posts and our emails. And we hope to see you soon. I'm going to give everyone else a chance to say goodbye. So Camilla and Naseeha, you guys can say bye. And then Lou, you can close us out.
Cool. We want to say thank you to you guys, to E Squared, for organizing such an inspiring event. As much as you say that we're inspired by the everyone who's here, the fact that there's such a great turnout for the event and it's the first one of its kind, and the questions that you guys answered, and just the opportunity to be able to talk to you guys about our story is really humbling. I still don't feel like there's anything particularly special about me or about us. Honestly, guys, we just had something we loved doing, and we used whatever we had around us in our homes to get something going. And honestly, what you said, Cheryl, if we can do it, then so can you guys.
100% echo everything you say. Thank you for an awesome evening. We hope you guys enjoy dinner, and we hope you enjoy the special little treats in your boxes from us. Our team worked hard to put them together. And if you're not in Gauteng, unfortunately, you're missing out. But hopefully we can do this event again and then personally deliver these macaroons to you.
Great. I think, did we just, Lucretia, what did I got lost?